Hi, back again with a variation of a very popular dish. Well, before we get there, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Indian freedom struggle. The Indian freedom struggle went through many phases. First, among the aggrieved princes in the princely states, which got aggravated also by the doctrine of lapse. And as we neared the 20th century, it started getting organized, and India as a whole, all the different pieces and parts across Maharashtra, Bengal, Punjab, everyone started getting together. After the Alipur bomb case, it was very clear that sporadic activities are not going to help, and it needed an organized. People were actually looking for one unified leader, and that is when the emergence happened of the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. He came in 1915 from South Africa, and as he expounded his theory of Satyagraha, the first opportunity happened at a place in Bihar called Champaran. So the Satyagraha movement took birth in Champaran in Bihar. So has this dish. This is also very simple because it's a one-pot dish. Everything goes into the pot, gets cooked, and everyone has it shares it around and has it. So this one is popularly called Champaran mutton, also known as Ahuna mutton. So here we are. So what do we do first? So interestingly, here we have the mutton. It's about approximately 400 grams. I've kept it for a small family. Some whole washed potatoes, and as you can see, they are in the jackets. This is to prevent the potatoes from crumbling too much and melting away. These whole garlics add a fantastic flavor to the dish, and they get cooked together, and it's a pleasure to squeeze them and eat them afterwards. The onions are going to remain whole to add to the flavors as well as to be eaten later on with a crunch. The papaya and the tomato are the ones which are going to cook along with the mutton, and they're going to get blended in. The carrot is going to add another bit of body and crunch, and of course very little spices, some red chilies, some green chilies, some grated garlic, and that's it. No turmeric, no red chili pepper powder, no onion to be cooked, no mutton to be browned. It will all get cooked together like a stew. Where will the water come from? No water. I'm not going to put any water. All the water is going to be released by the ingredients from the tomato, from the papaya, from the mutton itself, and from the onion. And that's going to create the stew gravy. Well, we start off by switching on the oven, putting on the heat, and the first thing we put is mutton fat. So instead of oil, we're going to put mutton fat. We're going to spray a little bit of oil for it to get started. So first we lay this fat at the bottom such that the bottom is covered. The advantage of this is, since it's a slow cooking process in a heavy bottomed one, you avoid burning of your ingredients. So here we are. Mutton fat is a very good medium to cook because you're anyway having it. So it's not something which is processed. It's something which will also give a fantastic flavor to the entire dish, not just to be used as a cooking medium. And the entire dish will get cooked in this. The next thing to do, the carrot, so we'll chop it in such a manner that the pieces are of equal volume. They may not be looking equal in size, but they should be having equal volume. That way you are sure that they'll be cooking all at the same time. So we'll take the papaya and start cutting it now while the fat is getting melted. We need the fat to get a little melted before we place the other things. The papaya, we're putting it for two reasons. One, it's a stew, and a papaya always gives a nice angle to the stew. And on top of that, the papaya also makes the mutton get softer faster. Instead of putting any other meat tenderizer, it's better to use raw papaya. Here we are. Now these we are not going to make them much smaller than halved because they will melt anyway. Right. The papaya will come in useful soon, but we will put it at the very end. So now that we have got it running, lower the heat. As you can see, the fat is melting, it's giving off some of its oil, and while it is doing so, we shall speed up the process by spraying a little oil in it just to help it along. We are also going to add some ghee, and that's going to be as per your taste and proportion, but this is only for flavoring. So I am taking 1 and 2 teaspoonfuls. That's enough for this time being. That's enough of the fat. So now we have to place everything inside. We'll place the papaya at the last. So first thing to place here is the mutton. Make sure that your mutton rests on top of the fat. The water in the mutton is spluttering along with the released oil. Then we start with the hard whole garlics, and what we'll do with them is we will push them in and let them stew and cook along with everything else, and they'll also release their own flavor very beautifully. I'm putting a lot of them in. Then we put the potatoes. Now the potatoes in the jacket we're going to cook like this, so that what happens is finally they get softened up, but they are going to remain whole. I'm not going to put all of them. I'm going to put about 6 or 7 potatoes. The tomatoes go in, squeeze them in, press them in if you can, because they are the ones which are going to melt and provide a bit of a nice soft, sweeter touch to the stew. 3 tomatoes. At this stage, I will add salt. So what's the salt level that we need here? Well, it's about a heaped teaspoonful or 1 tablespoonful of salt. Next, the red chilies, dried red chilies go in to provide heat and a bit of flavor as well. I'm putting in about 7 or 8 of them. As you see, I have not put the onion yet, because onion and the carrots, they melt quicker and we want them whole. The other advantage of cooking like this without the pressure cooker is that you can actually keep adding things as per a sequence. So I'm going to just split 2 or 3 green chilies, put them in, and then I'm going to add the papaya. Time to peel the papaya. I don't need so much of it, so I will just take a nice chunk of it and we'll peel it up. Right underneath the skin, so try to make it thin and not so thick kind of cuts. I'll put a little more in. Now we are almost ready to close the lid, and we have put roughly everything in. One more thing we'll put in, but we can put in later or we can put in now, is a bit of grated garlic. Remember, these whole garlics are not going to give off too much of flavor. They're going to retain the flavor inside the skin, which you can squeeze out. So for a bit of garlic smell and flavor, because it's mutton, it goes very well in offsets. Now I'll come to a bit of a short trick here. So while all these will start releasing their heat, do remember that we are not putting a lot of onions, which means we're not making the base. So therefore, what we need to do is we need to quickly add something which will substitute for that, and that something is a bit of mutton stock. So I have some mutton stock left over from that, which I always keep, and I keep them either in bottles for 2 to 3 days, beyond which I put them in a Ziploc bag and freeze them. What happens if you freeze them is they turn into jelly and stay for more than 1 or 2 months. And whenever you want, you can just pick it up, cut a piece and pour it in. So here I am putting the stock in. It's about 1.5 cup, and I'm going to put it in to aid the process of creating the stew. So the last thing to do is to put some spices in. Now, which are the spices to put in? Remember, it's a stew. We don't want to make it a curry, and we don't also want the spices to be sharp and taking the whole simplicity away. So here we have a tea strainer, which you normally use to dip tea in your cup, and this works as a beautiful bouquet garni. Instead of tying all the spices into with a string or putting it in a muslin cloth, this is perfectly fine. Multi-purpose thing to be kept at home. And the first spice I'll put in is the star anise. It is a star by itself. I'm putting in some cloves, some green cardamom, some cinnamon. Star anise is something which makes things linger. All the other flavors also linger, so this will stay for longer. Close it up, push it into the water if you can. Now the whole process is going to take 3 to 4 hours. Depends on the cut of the mutton. If it's a tender cut, it's going to be 3 hours. If it's a tougher cut, so it's a tender one. So we will go through with this for 3 hours. We have to add these at a 1 hour interval each. After 1 more hour, we'll add this. After another hour, we'll add the onions. And finally, at the end of the 3 hours, we are going to open this. So on slow flame, it's going to run now for the next 3 hours. Well, it's 3 hours now, actually a little more than 3 hours, because when you take it off and add other things, as I did, as I told you, at the end of 1 hour, I was going to add the carrots, which I did. Another 1 hour, added some onions. What happens is that you lose a little bit of heat, and you don't want to lose it, especially in a one-pot dish. So I let it stew for another 10 minutes extra. So 3 hours, 10 minutes. And here is the result, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, I've sneaked in something else, which I didn't tell you, but you can guess by now. Can you guess what I put in? What else but black pepper? Whole black pepper, which is my favorite spice. I have strewn a few here out here because it does give such an uplifting freshness and smell. And it is coming in, and it's divine. As you can see, the onions have maintained their shape. They are very soft, but they are there. The potatoes have maintained their shape. They are soft inside, as you will see in a moment. The garlic has cooked through, and they are ready to be squeezed out. The carrots are soft, and the mutton inside is fully cooked. Time to serve. So I've taken some rice, taken liberty because it goes very, very well with rice. It can go with other things also. And let's see how it will look like when we serve it out for a hearty meal. So carefully, I'm going to place 2 onion pieces here, a couple of carrots, some green chilies, some black pepper again, potato. Now you can do 2 things. You can take it out of the skin now and put it, but I love a potato in its jacket, so I've kept it here. So now that we have served the things which are the accompaniments, as you can see, the water which has been released by all these vegetables and the mutton is quite good enough. Remember, we added a little bit of a stock, but so much more water has got added. So let's add some of this beautiful stew gravy. And you can see its color. It's thin, it's flavoursome, it's wholesome, and it is not like a curry. Here comes a big piece of mutton with some red chilies, and here it is, a beautiful hearty meal by itself. Let's make it a little more stewy. The rice will absorb it. How do we make it look a little better? Because appetite appeal comes from the looks too. So we are going to put a little bit of spring onion here. which gives it a nice green look, and the garnishing looks wonderful. So here, ladies and gentlemen, is my Champaran-style mutton stew. So in the meantime, like, share and subscribe, and see you soon. This is Dr. Joydeep Roy, Work in Progress Chef, signing off.